Resident Evil is one of my favorite game series. As someone who started playing on the PlayStation 1 at the age of 9, and I've followed its history throughout, it's fair to say that the series has had its ups and downs. My wife has never played any Resident Evil games, and outside of seeing me play a few minutes here and there, she has no experience with the series. So I asked her to give Resident Evil Remake a try, and I wanted to see if she could beat the game. I have to admit it was interesting to watch her play the game. I've played this game so much that I have highly optimized my route through the game, so every run seems to be the same. So it was refreshing to see her run back and forth across the mansion searching for the next locked door. In this video, I will summarize her run through the game, and we'll find out if she actually finished the game. Then she'll give her thoughts about the game and a quick review.
I'm Nemo.
And I'm the Bear, and this is Resident Evil Remake.
Damn it! Make for that mansion!
At my suggestion, she started off by selecting Easy Mode, which included playing as Jill. She moved off into the dining room with Barry and then explored further into the mansion, and she really took time to explore the space.
I mean, really?
Yeah.
Explore the space.
She encountered the first zombie and had trouble aiming at it, but she did put it down. A mistake she would repeat over and over, putting down zombie after zombie, that she wouldn't realize was a mistake until much later. She ran around the main hall quick to search for Wesker before splitting up from Barry again. She finished the tutorial section for pushing objects, climbing on objects, and using defensive items. Then she returned to the main hall and found the exit door to the lab that she wouldn't need until later. She found the arrowhead and subsequently collected the sword key. Then she put down a couple more zombies. She made her way over to the shotgun trap, collected the shotgun, and then Barry came to rescue her.
That was a close one. A second late, you would have fit nicely into a sandwich.
She continued to make her way through the mansion, killed a couple more enemies, and collected a few more key items, including the dog whistle. She used the dog whistle, and that's where she died for the first time. But on her second attempt, she was able to kill the dog. After collecting the imitation key, she went to complete the puzzle with it. And on her way, the first Crimson Head stood up, and she realized killing all the zombies before that was a major mistake. Up until this point, she had been carrying the lighter and the fuel around everywhere, but she hadn't used it to burn any bodies. So with the realization that Crimson Heads were now everywhere in the mansion, and she had a new key, she went around to solve some more puzzles. She accidentally failed the stained glass puzzle on the first attempt by pushing the button before she meant to, so she had to leave the room, but on the second attempt she solved it without incident and collected the first death mask. Next, she grabbed the grenade launcher and wasted Forrest with it. And then she ran over to meet Richard.
Richard!
She took advantage of the newly acquired grenade launcher to waste some of the Crimson Heads and continued collecting key items. Eventually, she made her way up to the attic to the snake boss. Since she got the serum for Richard earlier, he showed up to help her fight the Yawn. On the plus side, she got the assault shotgun early, but on the negative side, Richard was dead. She used some grenade launcher flame rounds to burn a few bodies in the mansion and continued collecting the death masks. She killed the plant with the weed killer and collected the final death mask. After placing all the death masks, she killed the Crimson Head in the basement without much incident. She dropped the stone and metal object in the slot to enter the garden, then she tested out the assault shotgun on some of the dogs before realizing she had to go the other way first. She solved the puzzle on the path, and then she also solved the puzzle for the gravestones to collect the Magnum. She collected the crank in the small shack in the woods. Then she got jumped by Lisa. She remembered what Barry said, so she just left without trying to fight, but she did still take a few hits. After using the crank to clear the waterway, she headed off to the guardhouse and got attacked by Plant 42 by running over the holes in the floor. She exploded a few spiders with the assault shotgun and got really confused by the oil lamp puzzle. She located the map in the guardhouse, and then she got attacked by bees.
I bring you a dear, sweet man, Mr. Henry Winkler, covered in bees!
She got to the cutscene where she could hear Barry talking to someone behind the door. At this point, she was very convinced that Barry was a traitor.
I think age is starting to take its toll.
She moved into the basement, solved the crate puzzle, and then entered the Aqua Ring, only to find that she did not have the key for the control room, so she had to make her way back upstairs. After collecting the control room key, she moved back to the Aqua Ring, and just barely solved the puzzle to close the shutters in time before the Aqua Ring glass shattered. After draining the water, she finished off the sharks and collected the residence key. After using the key, she found the insecticide and took care of the bees. She solved the book puzzle and then decided to go straight to Plant 42. She did get destroyed here and eventually went back to finish the V-Jolt and use it before going into the plant room again. Once she saw the combination pad on the chemical room, she figured out what the oil lamp puzzle was all about, and she mixed the V-Jolt and went to use it. She grabbed the helmet key and headed back for the mansion, but not before bumping into Wesker.
Wesker?
After getting ambushed by the hunters, she ran around frantically from room to room trying to find the save room. Eventually she did find it without dying and even killed a hunter on the way. She is lucky she saved though, because shortly after that she walked out into a hallway with two hunters and one of them did kill her. At this point in the game she was getting pretty confident, so she kept wasting enemies left and right, sometimes even aiming up to pop zombies' heads off. She collected key items for a bit, and she solved the puzzle with the yellow and red gem. She continued wrecking zombies with the assault shotgun, and then she arrived at the toughest enemy in the entire playthrough. Yes, these walls here, they are the toughest enemy in the game, at least up to this point. They killed her once, so she decided to take a break from that room and explore the rest of the mansion before trying again. Wait till later, you'll see how big of a challenge those walls really were. As you can see, the hunters are no problem at all. She dropped the yellow gem off in the tiger statue, and then she headed off to fight the Yawn again. The Yawn wasn't too much trouble in the second fight though. She basically followed his tail around half the time and just lit him up. After the Yawn fight, she grabbed the wolf medal, and then she headed back to the room with the collapsing walls. So after getting crushed in the walls a few more times, she did finally get the statue in place and solve the puzzle. She collected the eagle medal, and then she entered the basement and wasted a few monsters down there, including some spiders. Then she took the elevator up to the side of the mansion she hadn't been to yet, and took care of a zombie before collecting the battery.
Pocket sand!
She used the red jewel to open up the box, and she solved the puzzle that you have to complete on top of the box. Next, she headed down to the room where you have to use the Spencer Crest key, and she collected the metal portion of the object to open the door to the labs. She went outside and made her way into the caves, found Enrico, and then watched him get assassinated. She collected the crank off Enrico, and then went to fight a few more hunters. This time, though, she made a very interesting combat choice that would continue throughout the next small portion of the game, where she would use the handgun to fight hunters, and not only that, but always aim at their legs. She did get crushed by a boulder once, but she didn't have any issues with the boulders after that first time. She almost died during the fight with the black tiger, but she did make it out alive. And then she almost died from the second boulder encounter, but she was able to escape that as well. Then she encountered the biggest jump scare in the entire run.
Oh no. I didn't know what was gonna happen.
With the generator restarted, she hopped on the elevator with Barry and headed deeper into the cave system. Barry decided he would stand guard at the elevator, because he was pretty scared, I guess, and she headed off to get the crate with the flamethrower. Once she returned to crush the crate, Barry left on the elevator. This further cemented her belief that Barry was indeed a traitor. Then she solved the flamethrower puzzle and continued on. After making it to Lisa's chamber and collecting the last box, she had all the items she needed to open the entrance to the lab, so she headed back to the mansion to do just that. I was surprised to see her give Barry his magnum back, but she did, and then they defeated Lisa together. After the Lisa fight, she entered the labs, and then she went absolutely mad, killing anything and everything she could with the most powerful weapons. After unlocking the doors in the lab, she took out the magnum, started killing a few things while she searched for more key items and supplies. Eventually she found the fuel capsule, and she unlocked the last locking device with the Mo disc to open Chris's cell. So she filled the fuel capsule, and right after doing that, she walked all the way down the stairs to meet Chris. And she walked all the way back up to the refueling device and inserted the fuel capsule. After powering up the elevator, she headed back to it and met Barry to go down and meet the tyrant.
Let's go.
What? Premature.
During the tyrant fight, she took out the grenade launcher and absolutely destroyed it. Before the self-destruct mechanism got set off, she went to grab Chris, and then they all headed for the heliport.
So everything's taken care of?
Well, almost.
She made it to the helipad, signaled the helicopter, and then started the tyrant fight. I think she took a few hits there. She even almost died once, but she did end up defeating him without dying once. The mansion exploded. Barry, Chris, and Jill all escaped on the helicopter, and to my surprise, my wife beat the game with the best ending possible.
Hey guys, Nemo here. Today I will be talking about my first experience with Resident Evil. There were definitely things I liked as well as disliked about the game. First, I will talk about the things I liked and enjoyed during my playthrough. My favorite thing about the game was the puzzles. They were interesting, held my attention, and fit well where they were placed. My favorite puzzle was the one in the X-ray room where you had to line the X-rays up alphabetically. The next thing I really liked and enjoyed about the game was the ambient sounds. These sounds made the game feel more real than it actually was. Some examples of this are the thunder during the storms, and the crickets whenever I was outside. Then I found that I enjoyed the music. The music was definitely beautiful and fit the game perfectly. Especially enjoyed the save room music. The atmosphere throughout the game was also enjoyable, although creepy during some parts of the game. The best example of this is the walk up to the cabin in the woods. My favorite portion of the game world was the lab due to the atmosphere. Last but not least, I enjoyed the story a lot. However, the storyline was definitely predictable. Barry and Wesker were acting shady throughout the entire game. They were very cryptic and secretive.
What about my family? If I play my cards right.
I liked that you ended the game with a literal bang by blowing up the final boss with a rocket launcher. Without further ado, I will now talk about the things I didn't particularly care for throughout the game. The first thing I would like to address in this section is the inventory system. You cannot break up stacks of objects. This makes it so that the very first thing that you always do when loading a save is to put ink ribbons away. I also was not fond of the amount of items I could carry either. The next thing I wasn't too fond of was the controls. They felt very janky and they would force you to turn around every single time the camera angle would change. On that note, let's talk about the camera angles themselves. The fixed camera angles drove me absolutely mad. In my opinion, fixed camera angles take away from the immersion of the game because you can't fully explore your surroundings. Now I'd like to address how I feel about Barry and Wesker. Throughout the entirety of the game, these two were acting extremely shady. I did not like this as it took away from the surprise towards the end of the game.
Wesker!
Jill, so you're safe.
That's what I was going to say.
I apologize. It was all I could do to protect myself against those strange creatures.
I understand. Anyway, it's good that you're safe.
Did you notice? Barry, he sounded a little flaky.
Now that you mention it, yeah.
The backtracking in this game is utterly ridiculous. I felt like doing this was just one way to drag out the amount of time it takes to beat the game. It's just really redundant and repetitive. Last, but certainly not least, Crimson Heads. I knew these existed, but did not realize they were in this specific game. I do not recommend tangling with them. Please remember to burn the bodies of the zombies you kill along the way, or you will be facing these guys just as I had to. In conclusion, I really did enjoy this game. However, it is definitely dated, even as a remake. This is thanks to the fixed camera angles. I highly recommend that people play this game, perhaps even as their very first Resident Evil game, like myself. It's an easygoing, straightforward, and easy to pick up game. Comment below with which Resident Evil game I should play next. Please like, comment, and subscribe for more gaming content. And don't let the Crimson Heads get ya, and we'll see you in the next one.